And there are reports that the titles of the Duke of York and Duke of Sussex may not be passed on to future royals due to the negative associations with, of course, Prince Andrew and Prince Harry. What do you make of this? Do you expect that this is going to be the case?
I thought this was a really interesting development with these two. So Richard Fitzwilliams is a very sort of well-known royal commentator in the UK. And what he's done is he's used the example of the Duke of Windsor, saying when Edward VIII abdicated the throne to marry Wallis Simpson in 1936, there hasn't been a Duke of Windsor since. So his theory is that perhaps the Duke of York, Andrew, and the Duke of Sussex, Harry, titles will be retired when they pass on, I guess, which I think for both of those men would be, for them to even consider that would be catastrophic, because I think they are of the expectation that their grandchildren or great-grandchildren will inherit, when, you know, a boy is born, he will inherit the title and that will keep the bloodline and that legacy going. But the problem is, of course, that just like with Edward VIII, their personal choices have tarnished their title. And I think if we look about reputation management and strategy, which will be very much part of William's reign in particular, I feel, he will be examining very closely if there are any titles that are potentially toxic. And if there's a young royal star coming through the family, why would they give that title to them? I mean, there's plenty of other names they can wheel out if they actually wanted to bestow a title. I think.
Absolutely. That's very interesting. Now, there are also reports that the late Prince Philip was reportedly relieved when Harry and Meghan's wedding was over. According to the former royal butler, Grant Harold, he turned to the Queen and said, "Thank F, that is over." What more can you tell us about this?
Well, I thought it was very interesting, one, that he would swear like that to the Queen, but I think they had a pretty robust and, you know, down-to-earth relationship away from the cameras, but also that Philip's first instinct was, as you say, of relief, not joy, as they left the church at Windsor. And it kind of indicates that senior royals perhaps had a different view of Meghan than what we were led to believe at the time, because the global narrative was that everyone loved Meghan. They thought she was a breath of fresh air. Thank goodness Harry's found someone to love and cherish and look after him. I mean, it's even as I say that to you, it sort of beggars belief, considering how the royals view her now, and that's at the hands of Harry and Meghan, of course. In that way. So I think the fact that Philip made these remarks doesn't surprise me. He was a very straightforward man. He could say things that perhaps the Queen couldn't say. There's no doubt he called a spade a shovel, I guess is the way he was often described. And I think that he made those comments in 2006 and perhaps had an indication that this wedding was more about Hollywood and grifting and less about carrying on tradition, which as a military man he would have wanted to see that tradition carried on, no doubt.
Well, speaking of Hollywood and the reference there, in the world of entertainment, there's been a bit of a development in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. It just keeps going on. But new details have emerged of Justin Baldoni's hiring of a social media guru who was apparently paid $90,000 for his services, according to newly unsealed documents. Now, the court papers also reveal that Baldoni's crisis management team cost an estimated $9 million. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. And when you consider this case really has only been live since December last year, when Blake filed the sexual harassment case against Justin Baldoni, and he countersued alleging defamation, amongst other things. But it just shows that at Hollywood, when you've got a personal feud, it gets very expensive and very toxic and dangerous as well. I mean, I would argue this feud has overtaken the movie completely.
Absolutely.
It's all about them fighting each other, and the fact that this, you know, 90 grand for 3 months, this fixer, and Blake's side are saying that there were chatbots and fake accounts all to skew the narrative against her, which of course his side has denied. But I mean, a terrific waste of money and a very expensive way to make a point. But I think the day they actually put down their arms and say, let's just settle this quietly, but they seem to be both fuelled in this and really invested in this battle. I think I can't see it ending anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think it's playing out well for either one of them.
It's definitely not playing out well for them. I mean, their brand for both of them, I think, is tarnished. I mean, in a way, a director will look at this and think, do I want this drama if I hire either of them on my next project?
No,
probably not.
Louise Roberts, thank you so much for joining us.